Property Talk, where we make sense of the real estate industry, of course, where we give you all the updated information that you need. Just to also let you know, there is a bit of information on the streets that the landlord-tenant bill was officially signed. Of course, we will officially give you the details of that. But on set with me is someone you can find very interesting, someone that is in the real estate market, property market, and someone that is actually helping to bridge the deficit gap of Uganda's real estate and housing sector. Yes, you know we still have a deficit gap whereby we still need more housing if we're to be able to cater for every Ugandan to have shelter over their head. But for now, Mr. Clive Kayford. Mr. Clive, it's lovely to have you on set.
Good to be here, thank you.
You're welcome. First and foremost, I'd like to know, what was that point that you knew you had to get into real estate, developmental real estate?
I started working on my father's building sites when I was 12.
Pardon me?
Yeah, that's how I started.
What were you doing on the building site at 12?
Oh, I just love the transformation. Looking at a piece of ground which has got nothing on it and imagining the potential and then realizing it.
What was your first property development, and in which location was it?
Well, I bought a property for myself in London, which within 2 years had doubled in price.
Okay.
But for the first commercial one, I decided I would develop in Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
In Bulgaria, in Europe, yeah.
Okay.
Because the economy was growing, it was going to join the EU, and it had a lot of potential. So I'm interested in those markets, yeah.
So your first real investment was Bulgaria?
Yes, it was, yeah.
And how is the real estate market there?
Well, it was fantastic at the time.
And now?
It dropped off hugely after the 2007 crash.
Okay.
And it's picked up again.
So your first investment was before 2007?
Yeah.
So how long have you been in the property industry investment? For how many years?
Well, started just before then, about 2005.
20,
about 20.
Ooh, that's a long time. You must be having all the I's and T's dotted and crossed.
I think I've made all the mistakes you can make and learned from that. Yeah.
What did you learn from your first investment?
Well, I think timing is the big thing. I got into Bulgaria at exactly the right time because of the reasons I mentioned. The global the country's economy was doing very, very well, or was about to. And it's easy to make money if the economy is going in the right direction, and you can afford to make mistakes. And that was why I started with that country, which a lot of people think was an unusual place to start. They also ask why I've come to Uganda, but it's a lot of the same reasons. There's such huge potential.
That's what I wanted to ask next. Why did you choose Uganda for your latest project?
Well, a lot of the same reasons, because there's so much potential here, and there is real growth. And I looked at all of East Africa. I wanted to invest in Africa, and East Africa I felt was the right part to start. Looked at Kenya, I looked at Rwanda. For different reasons, I felt Kenya was going to be a battle. Rwanda, I felt the government was going to be involved in everything. I liked Uganda as well. I like coming here, and that's important. And more potential than anywhere else, I think.
When you look at, if you have taken time to study our real estate trends, when you look at how we were 5 years ago to how we are today, do you think our change has been significant in the right ways, or it's a change that has not favored us?
I think it's been significant in the right ways. There are still some very important changes that need to be made in order to every Ugandan having a home, for sure. It's become a much more professionalized business, both from the developing and the investment side.
That's good to hear. So what are your key factors when choosing a location for your development?
Well, I love an area which has potential to increase its value, as well as good rental returns. So this area in Konge Hill, it's on top of the hill, so it's a beautiful place. So people are always going to want to live here.
I love the view.
Yeah, it's fabulous. So that's a big potential. But it's a lot less expensive than Muyanga, say, which is about the same distance from town. But key also is the infrastructure. Somewhere's got to have good road connections into the town. That's very important. And if it's close to an area which is already established, then you can be sure that with an increase in population and increased demand, the neighbouring areas are also going to come up in price. So that's why I picked this area.
So in Uganda, do you have any other projects other than this, or is this your first project in Uganda?
This is the first one, and I have several potential projects. We're still going to develop this site fully because we still have another couple of acres to develop here.
Lovely.
Yeah, we just wanted to wait until we got all the feedback from phase one, but we are selling these quickly now.
I was actually just about to ask you, are these for sale or rent?
They're for sale. We'll retain a few of them for rental, but we want to see some of that capital appreciation for ourselves and rent them out. Yeah, they're for sale, and very shortly we'll be planning the next phase unveiling a new development. Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to a Ugandan developer or anyone who's actually thinking of venturing into the section of real estate development so that they are able to maximize to full capacity, be it profit, be it satisfaction, be it client satisfaction, be it their own satisfaction? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I'd say do the research really thoroughly. Make sure you do your figures properly. So you work out your rental returns, make sure they are good, take into account vacancy when the property is unoccupied. If you're buying over 5 years or 10 years, which you should be really, look at what the value of buying it now and what you expect it to be in 10 years, because you can double your rental income if you sell at twice the price a few years later. And at Jakana Heights, that is one of the things that we expect to happen, and we think we get fantastic returns for it.
The other thing I'd like to give credit for is I love your finishing.
Oh, thank you.
I love your finishing. Do you have a team that specifically looks at the project, the little details of the project?
Absolutely.
I love that there are a lot of small particular things that were looked at, the small details that many would not usually appreciate with the bare eye. But if you actually go into consideration, actually where we are stood right now here is the outside. We're at the Jakana Heights. We're stood outside in the little green area. It's very beautiful. If you saw where we stood, you could think maybe we're at some resort or like, an island, or you think we're at a fancy hotel. No, we're at the Jakana Heights. What was the idea behind that?
The idea was that we wanted a modern building, but we wanted to have an African feel to it.
Oh, yeah.
Using African themes.
I was talking to Edwin earlier and he said, I like that. I think they were going for an African setting. So actually it's communicating before you even say that. It's very communicating. Yeah. So right now in Uganda, many Ugandans want to start up rental portfolios, like real estate portfolios, whereby they build, put out for rent, build, put out for rent. Because as you know, in Uganda, we have the biggest percentage of young entrepreneurs. Yes, we do. In Uganda, we have,
great.
I think in Africa,
right,
we have the highest percentage of young entrepreneurs. But our problem is many of these businesses do not live long on the shelf line. Like first 1 to 2 years, many of them are breaking off.
Yes.
And are not able to sustain. So what advice would you give to those that are in the real estate industry, but maybe along the way they have something that brings them down?
Yes.
So what advice would you give to them?
I think for any entrepreneur, including in the real estate business, you have to really manage your cash very, very carefully. So you need to make sure that the incomes you're predicting are going to match your outgoings. So in the case of real estate, the rental returns are going to cover any loan payments that you might make. Building in, as we talked about before, unoccupancy. There will be periods where you don't have rentals. Crucial that you have a build-up to take that into account, and for any unexpected events or repairs. And the other thing I'd say, again, for any entrepreneur, is make sure the service is really good. So if you're renting out property, if people want a repair doing, then do it so that they're happy. Or if they ask for Wi-Fi in there, if it's put it in, it's not going to lose anything. You can end up charging more rent.
But anyway, it helps your property appreciate.
It does, exactly. But if you provide a really good service in any industry, you'll do well. And also, it'll be easier to collect the rent, because that's the other difficulty as a landlord.
Would you advise them to have property managers? Is it best if you're starting out small for you to do all 360 on your own?
Exactly. Starting out small, you have to. If you've got the investment, or once you've got big enough, then sure, you need to start delegating out to management services.
They had it from Mr. Clive. It was lovely having you on set. It was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I will attest to it. The Jakana Heights are very, very beautiful. You should come down here to have a visit or just have a sight view. They are breathtaking. Being on a hill has something it adds to a property. There's just something refreshing about it. You do not feel the same way that you feel when you're just maybe on flat ground or in the valleys. Jakana Heights, of course, is on sale. How many units are left?
10 left now.
How many units are there in total?
21.
So there you have it. Only 5 units left for sale. What are your payment terms?
We can extend payment over 18 months. We can do.
That's good.
Yeah, we can do that. As long as it's a good buyer.
Are
Yeah.
you open to mortgages?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We deal with all of the major banks. KCB primarily, but Stanbic as well, and Housing Finance. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was lovely having you in, Mr. Clive.
Thank you so much.
It was the Property Talk. Stay tuned. Let's see what more we have on the show for you.